Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to the Raymond Corporation seminar on why now is the best time to upgrade your power solutions. My name is Damon Hosmer. I'm Product Marketing Manager of Energy Storage Technology and Integration, and with me today is my partner in crime, Jared Hubbard, Director of Core Sales here at Raymond. Welcome, Jared.
Good afternoon.
Good to have you, bud. Really excited to begin the conversation today with everyone involved. Thanks once again for your time. But as a quick agenda reminder, there's kind of four key areas that we'll look at today as we discuss the topic. First and foremost, available incentives to help bring down those initial project costs. Secondarily, we'll talk about additional efficiencies unlocked when leveraging lift trucks as connected platforms. Third, we'll hit on some forward-facing technologies, both battery technology and charging, as well as kind of finalizing things, broad benchmark investment levels from OEMs, battery manufacturers, and a number of different industry contributors across the board. So we're really excited to have the conversation today, and let's jump right into it. So as we start the conversation off today, I just want to quickly kind of discuss and dive into how electrification trends continue to drive our business forward and how they continue to accelerate with the addition of the Inflation Reduction Act. When we look at it, the overall global forklift market size, we're looking at roughly 4.64% of growth on the annual CAGR scale for the next 5 years. Interesting enough, and what I think many of us see and feel from a day-to-day conversation perspective is lead acid continues to be a staple within the game, but we're forecasting roughly 1.75% of growth over the next 5 years. While from a demand perspective, we're really starting to see lithium almost outpace lead acid from a 5-to-1 perspective, really. So it's really interesting to start to dive in, look at how the IRA is going to help drive our industry forward and help achieve some of these goals associated with the motive power side of the business. A couple quick points here to hit. So, what does that mean from an Inflation Reduction Act standpoint? So for our industry specifically, there's over $30 billion in clean tech funding supporting hydrogen and lithium future forward. What's really exciting about this, right, is it gives the opportunity for new competition to come in, whether it be lithium-ion battery manufacturers, hydrogen fuel cell manufacturers, but all seeking technological advantages to help benefit the customers with today's struggles that we see. So we're going to see lots of rapid advancement in technology as the market grows, and vendor will really need to focus on those innovations supporting sustainability and productivity from a throughput perspective. But what's really interesting as well is as investments from the Inflation Reduction Act are put into action, they really help drive domestication and new joint ventures here in the United States and Canada and help offer a multitude of different technologies that will bleed into our business over the next few years. So one of those direct examples from the IRA's kind of support of the functionality is here at Raymond, we have our lithium partners, Electrification. We are taking advantage of the IRA and really looking at taking some of those incentives to help our partners continue to grow here domestically. So we actually participated in a portion of the IRA as well as the New York State Build Back Better plan to help them capture money and incentives to open up their new Jamestown facility, which you'll hear more about as we get closer to ProMat coming up. But it's not just the IRA piece, right? I want to make sure that we're all looking at the different opportunities, both from a federal, state, provincial, and then utility electrification rebate program. There's many different opportunities across the board for us to be able to look at different programs outside of the IRA that help lower that initial acquisition cost when looking to pursue new programs within your facility. Many of the utility-based and non-utility programs here directly shown on here offer customer rebates that go well beyond the traditional forklift platforms. So we're starting to see more golf carts, electric welders, utility and burden carrier vehicles being incentivized in a multitude of different ways throughout the U.S. From an incentive perspective, it's extremely important from the Raymond side to look at and make sure that we are partnering with folks outside of the organization to ensure that we're bringing educated information back to our customers and having those conversations about going into alternative fuel cell projects and lithium projects where we're evaluating different incentives on the front end to help offset that initial acquisition cost and really build value into project goals.
So material handling equipment is evolving past just mechanisms, structures, hydraulics, controls, motors. With telematics, you can create efficiency and productivity reporting, then you combine it with automation and other solutions out there that assist, you can remove that need for manual labor out of low value tasks and move it over to more value added, or redeploy it over to more value added tasks. Okay. When you tie that in with energy storage, you really get to that predictive analytics, basically the desire to do more with less, or continuous improvement, or lean management, right? So, we have conversations every day, and it's really, people are asking, how do you eliminate labor out of those manual tasks and put it over into that high value? From an OEM perspective, we look to embrace, alternative energy solutions. We look at hydrogen fuel cells, lithium batteries, and how they impact the overall efficiency and productivity of the vehicle itself, and then how it translates into value for our customers.
Yeah, Jared, I think that's a great point. And, the industry is evolving, right? As we see more consumer EVs come to market, over the road vehicles, that consumer feel is really translating into the four walls of the warehouse and the manufacturing facilities. So gone are the days of the ancillary battery and charger and filling a hole in a box, right? Now it's about predictive analytics with data. How can they drive continuous performance? How can they hit the throughput and productivity goals associated with that vehicle dedicated to that working area within a facility, right? And how do we translate that long term to be scalable, right, throughout multiple facilities? Because many of our customers have multiple locations on a global basis, and regulation and infrastructure requirements and all of that change. So, right, the core level foundation is extremely important to embrace that energy storage piece and really help drive those performance efficiencies forward.
The entire facility is speaking now.
Yep, agreed. Great point. So when we start to look at, right, how do we deploy these new technologies? How do we evaluate and create these project goals? First and foremost, you'll hear a standard line from the Raymond folks on a day-to-day basis, and that's understanding consumption economics is key, right? There's different application environments call for different technologies. So understanding the data on the front end and evaluating different lift truck utilizations, battery and charger informations from existing facilities, and taking that information and looking future forward as well, right? So Raymond's really key in the sense that we always deploy our energy meters on the front end, regardless of chemistry or focus of fuel on the front side. We want to quickly understand what it is that we're looking at from that usage perspective. We want to make battery charger fuel cell recommendations based on state of charge and those productivity goals with our simulation capabilities, and then ultimately help provide an agnostic solutions report with recommendations, whether it be to support IC to electric conversions. Many people today, we're seeing tons of secular push for a maintenance-free experience, right? Many of us know that there are maintenance-free components associated with that battery or fuel cell technology. However, there are behavior habits from an operator perspective in those manual applications. So having this data on the front end really helps us kind of see how people are behaving in those environments, and that helps us really build out, right, a formal total cost of ownership, depending upon kind of the 5 key metrics, which we'll talk about. But this is really important information. Having data on the front end to make those cost-effective, long-term strategic decisions is key, regardless of technology. So we hope that the industry continues to embrace this data piece, because as we continue to get more granular, the capabilities are going to continue to grow from a long-term perspective. So really exciting stuff from the data side.
So let's talk about the productivity, switching from internal combustion over to the electric. Okay, there's a lot of incentives to move over to electric, and Raymond, being in the electric business for over 100 years, we can be that trusted provider for you as you move forward into this long lasting. So what are the benefits, right? You can get productivity without the cost, right? Electrics enhance operator comfort, reduce overall fatigue. There's fewer vibrations, quieter ride, and we get the less heat and zero emissions, okay? And if you take a look at the maintenance, the difference between an internal combustion and electric, you save about 40% overall in the life of the vehicle in maintenance. You can save up to 80% over the lifespan in fuel. You get 30% longer life, and you can save $1 or more per hour when you're running electric equipment.
I just compound there, Jared, you know, the maintenance piece, right? When you start to make that conversion, and it's funny because we see the shock in a lot of situations when we start to have these conversations. From an electric piece of equipment to an internal combustion setup, you're talking about 20 to 30 components versus 300 plus, right? In some of those scenarios. So significantly less componentry, right? To look at from that fundamental parts perspective. Like you said, the operator piece, right? Just the overall right experience of an operator, right? From fumes and different things, noise levels, all of those different components, right, are kind of non-tangible items, but they really help adopt in those scenarios. So I think everything that you shared here is really key. And one of the things that we pride ourselves on is we've got a very robust conversion calculation tool that we utilize with our applications engineering group. So it's intended to serve, right, as a guide and provide general information regarding those potential return on investments, but it gives us a lot of granularity, and it helps us, again, understand the goals of our customers, both today and future forward, with where they're trying to take their operations. So.
I would just add, I think the folks that are using internal combustion have a perspective, and really you need to go and take a look at the electrical conversion to see exactly what can benefit you. And it's really about the operator and the overall, enjoying their role in doing the operation.
Yeah. And it's really exciting from a technology perspective as well, right? Because we're seeing higher voltage architectures come into play. We're seeing new products come online to, again, provide that similar performance characteristic from that IC to electric conversion. So I think there's a lot of neat things that are going to come out of these efforts and the CARB regulations and everything else taking place that, again, we look forward to helping customers navigate those waters. So as we talk about data and right, consumption economics is key, right? Whether it's making that conversion from the IC to electric. But here's a real world example that I shared with everybody on the call today of just how we holistically look at some different things. And this is a great example of a Northeastern grocer that we worked at who was very regionally focused when they first came to us and asked us to kind of take a profile of their problem children or, over consumers of energy, where they were changing batteries multiple times per day, looking at ways that at the retail perspective, they could live what they breathe from a sustainability perspective in their core messaging. And it's really unique in the sense that you take the Class 2 V&A reach truck as a standard profile in this scenario. The original conversations that we were having were more or less tied to the retail efforts and sustainability being the big adoption driver. As we looked at a multitude of different facilities, and I think this was close to 6 or 7 total facilities, we started seeing some different trends, right? From the way that equipment was being utilized, not only from a frequency perspective, but also their equivalent battery usage. So as we started to monitor the facilities, as we consolidated and aggregated that data together, this gives us a holistic profile of an individual piece of equipment that they had deemed as a point of focus as they continued into 2023. What's really interesting here is right on the retail side, the utilization is low and consumption is, providing the ability to look at a hybridized approach depending upon what technology and what cost economics we're supporting that discussion and the retail application. The core customer piece and their ambient and dry goods facilities and stuff were consuming about 2 EBUs per day. For those on the call that aren't aware, EBU stands for equivalent battery usage. And then when we really started digging into some of their captive cold storage environments with some of the new semi-automated facilities and stuff, right, we saw that there were potentially opportunities to eliminate 3+ battery changes per day. So it was really great conversation to be able to take this to the leadership team, help them understand what we had come to find at each one of these prospective segments of their business, and help them redirect their focus, right? Not only from a project perspective, but from an economics perspective. Where were they going to get the most return on investment? What would help them quickly monetize the change to an alternative fuel cell setup? And then how would that bleed into that behavior at the operator level? So this to me is extremely powerful. I hope everybody else on the call realizes how the power of this, but this is the type of information we want to continue to bring to customers in day-to-day application conversations. So as we look at the data, we take that example as a kind of focal point here. When you start to look at material handling power solution comparisons, there's really kind of three key areas from an alternative fuel cell perspective. So lead acid has been the incumbent. We're seeing many of our legacy providers and OEMs continue to advance lead technology. You've got thin plate pure lead. You've got other technologies that are being deployed to help not only increase life, performance capability, right, and then taking those environmental considerations. Fuel cells, like we talked about earlier, hydrogen has continued to gain momentum within our industry. And again, going back to the IRA, there's close to $13 billion individually focused on that fuel cell hydrogen piece of the pie as well. And then lithium, right? Again, we go back to that annual CAGR from the battery market research that we've performed over the past couple of years, and we're seeing on a day-to-day basis. Lithium has really translated into a huge topic of discussion, right? And there's multiple chemistries, there's multiple charge rates, there's multiple technologies that can be coupled to help promote that vehicle efficiency, if you will. So when we start to have these conversations, right, this can get very complex very quickly. And what we want to help our customers kind of navigate are really the 5 key metrics that we look at when making those recommendations to an end user. Number 1, what's the productivity look like? What are the productivity goals of the facility itself, and how do each one of these technologies translate into those overall goals? Secondarily, we look at equivalent lifetime and CapEx. We see many customers today kind of focus on that 10-year period, but what does it look like from a lead acid perspective? Do we need to potentially budget for secondary life batteries halfway through that 10-year focal point, depending upon what the application or end use environment is? The fuel cell piece, right? When we start to look at that, you're seeing many of the fuel cell providers go in and sign 7 to 10-year uptime guarantee contracts, right? So that's playing into that 10-year period as well, where customers are really starting to look at that CapEx piece. And then into the lithium piece, right? We now have products that can last 2 to 4 times the life of traditional lead acid in many scenarios, and create that linear power band. So how can we utilize data to look at that through a project lifecycle capability and then help make end-of-life decisions as well? Operational costs and maintenance, we talked about earlier, right? Maintenance free is a huge push for many end users and a secular trend that we see growing on a daily basis. So how do we look at real estate requirements and maintenance costs associated with each one of these technologies? How do we look at consolidation of those traditional battery rooms and multi-tiered extractor setups? And what does that cubic footage provide back to a customer in regards to valuable real estate that can help them drive value? We're looking at all of those different things, but this is a key component to helping build out that total cost of ownership. From an overall energy system efficiency perspective, right, you can look at individual system efficiencies associated with each one of the technologies, but how does that play into a full facility setup, and what's that viewpoint look like, right? Again, we talk about multi-tier extractors, right? The 888 rule from lead acid that's been in place for so long that so many people live by. What if we could reduce, right, charge time to less than 2 hours per day per battery type situation? Fuel cells are making advancements in refueling capabilities, right, to where you can refuel some of your largest fleet equipment in less than 3 minutes. So there's different system efficiencies that you have to look at from an overall perspective as well. Another key one there is the regen capability, right? When looking at that state of charge and building out that customer's profile from what each one of these technologies will look like, regen has become a big piece, especially associated with lithium, now that you have that 100% capture. So that's valuable energy that's being captured and redeployed. Same thing with regenerative braking and some of the sit-down counterbalance stuff, right? So overall system efficiency is key to look at, not only from a cost perspective, from a maintenance perspective, but again, how does it benefit and take advantage of each one of those vehicle optimization capabilities associated. And then the last one is always deployment ease, right? Customers want to quickly be agile in these scenarios. Many 3PLs today, right, have been resistant to alternative fuel technologies in the past because of the perceived lack of flexibility. Now you're able to look at the marriage between batteries and chargers a little bit differently. You've got higher output charging capability on a smaller capacity battery that still gives you the operational profile that you're looking at. But how easily is it deployed, and how easy is it to get those operators to adopt and perform that behavior that we're looking at? So these 5 key metrics are really something that we want to focus on and make sure that we evaluate all different components of each technology and provide the good, the bad, the ugly back to customers to help them make those informed decisions.
Yeah. So simply put, power technology segment is rapidly evolving. So let's take a look at total cost of ownership. So when you're looking at maintenance, literally in lithium, there's virtually no maintenance in that. The purchase price, yes, it's 15% higher, but the performance and productivity that you get is 50% faster and stronger than you would find on your normal technologies or liquid propane. The energy that you get is 25%. And then the life expectancy, like Damon said, is 2 to 3 times longer than your normal electrical technology at LP.
Yeah, that's all great. Jared, and I think a couple things, right, where Raymond really excels in regards to total cost of ownership. Number one, we still see the sticker shock from many people when they view purchase price associated with alternative energy technologies, right? One of the advantages that Raymond brings to the table in many of these senses is that we have a captive leasing side of the business that has the ability to evaluate these technologies, approve them for each one of our model vehicles, and then ultimately help provide strong residual positions back to customers to really help offset that cost. You made the comment about performance and productivity, right? When we look at lead versus lithium head to head on a daily basis, we're seeing roughly doing the same work with the same operator experience, moving the same goods in a dual environment, roughly 17% productivity increase, right? Because of that linear power band. Now you're getting that linear power band that's no different than your phone, right? Your phone works the same way at 2% as it does at 100%, but when it's dead, it's dead. But if you're achieving that maximum voltage, if you're getting those optimal travel speeds, lift speeds associated, right, that quantified throughout a day of full working capability is a significant performance productivity gains that we're able to help customers really qualify. The energy piece at the facility level, again, I'll just go back. We're seeing roughly a 20 to 25% right facility cost reduction when making the conversion from lead to lithium in a lot of these scenarios, right? Whether it be the one-to-one charging capability, right, eliminating additional and spare chargers associated. But one of the other things, right, that many customers, and you have to have the conversation, is with that higher output capability, what does that do from an infrastructure perspective? So we're looking at reducing facility costs, but in brownfield sites, right, we still want to be able to adhere to their existing breaker setups and not compromise additional costs associated with that infrastructure, but then make guided decisions and guided recommendations in those greenfield sites as well. And then the life piece, right, back to that. I mean, again, I think there's still a lot of speculation with all of the testing, with all of the accelerated life efforts that battery OEMs and the vehicle OEMs have put into looking at what that true extension of life is. It's really hard to quantify, but it's significantly longer. And again, you can make valuable decisions on redeployment of assets. If you're an end user that's moving a lot of equipment around to multiple facilities, right, you have good data to make decisions on. If there's utilization, right, that we need to shift from an operator behavior perspective, that can help us increase that life. And then back to the maintenance piece, right? Again, gone are the days of the mechanical maintenance associated, the watering, right, the off-gassing and clean room environments and different things associated. But now you're starting to also see many of the OEMs, and Raymond specifically, focus on that comprehensive fixed price energy, right? So now we're looking at protecting those costs and, again, supporting a positive owning experience in those maintenance-free requested areas. So another piece of the business that I absolutely love, and I think it's sometimes missed, but future charging technologies will continue to create new operational capabilities for many of our customers. So when we look at, right, kind of 2022 forward, the last couple of years, you've seen a lot of people really focus on universal charging capability. They want to have a chemistry agnostic charger that can handle lead, lithium, and that provides that same data experience, if you will. So we're starting to kind of make that transition. I think 2023, 2024 are going to be really exciting years for the industry, and certainly at the Raymond Corporation, from an advancement and new product development perspective. Automated and wireless charging is a key focus that we're looking at as we continue to deploy more automated vehicles. When you look at that omnidirectional environment where you need, less precision in regards to, pulling up and different tasks associated with that, but redeploying back to the charger piece, this is something that's going to offer some insane operational efficiencies and capabilities long term. And when you really get down into the details and start to build out dedicated working areas and heavy V&A applications where you can create, right, a living workspace, if you will, it gives you the ability to start looking at smaller batteries, right? There's new technologies coming out today like Raymond's Auto TRT that is a DC travel AC lift type situation. So it's battery driven from a travel perspective, and then it's electrically charged from the lift mechanism piece. So you're starting to see more of that kind of, I almost like to pull from the telecom side of the business where you see rectifier applications with that constant current floating that state of charge. But it gives us the ability to really consolidate the footprint of the battery itself, look at ways that we can optimize the actual vehicle head length and infrastructure from a vehicle perspective, and still be able to help and support those working capabilities. And then also demand management is something that we continue to really have conversations on a day-to-day basis with cold storage facilities, large users with 100 plus units, plugging all in at break, disparate grids depending upon where some of these new facilities are being made outside of kind of your major metropolitan areas. Demand management and the incorporation of renewables to support that bidirectional charging or vehicle to grid type effort is going to become really key, and something that I think more and more folks will start to dive into.
Yeah, it's about taking that need for human interaction out of that automated solution and redeploying it over into that value-added tasks.
Yep. So when we talk about demand management with regards to facility energy cost optimization, one of the constants that my team and our applications engineering groups hears on a daily basis is demand charges can be greater than 50% of a utility bill. And when you're looking at budgeting for that year, when you're looking at mitigating, right, disruption and ancillary costs from a multitude of different areas, this becomes one that people are starting to more proactively look at. Not only at the facility level, but the charger level. And then ultimately, right, on the right here, this is a picture of our Raymond G2 facility. So Raymond has made some strong investments on looking at new opportunities to take advantage of some of the incentives associated with the IRA, as well as some of the other state and local opportunities. So this project was funded jointly by Raymond, NYSERDA, and Binghamton University. And the system consists of the following subsystems at our G2 kitting facility. So we have 420 kilowatt hours of energy storage with 250 kilowatt hours of peak power supported from the PV side that's expandable to be able to look at using secondary life batteries associated with some of the end of life that comes from those facilities. We have bidirectional and unidirectional controllable chargers, and we're ultimately looking at developing a custom warehouse energy management system that includes hardware and software that coordinates all of the subsystems that I just mentioned. But really, the goals of the project are as follows, right? How can we study the impact of new lithium-ion battery and fast charging technologies on the building load profiles and utility bill? What effects do they have on a day-to-day basis? And how can we better plan when those customers are asking us to be proactive? How can we look at and estimate the day-ahead workload, battery capacity, and then provide optimal charging and discharging schedules back to the customer? So treating it more as a net metered asset and really creating that dynamic relationship between the two versus having that set schedule that many of us have been used to over the years. Performing a return on investment, right? Looking at two-way chargers and stationary battery systems, right? So how can we look at utility bill cost savings for both peak demand management and then also that real-time energy pricing, right? How can we mitigate brownouts in those disparate grid areas? All of these different, real-world issues that many of our customers deal with on a day-to-day basis, and even some of the OEMs, right, at the factory level. These are mitigation plans that not only serve our efforts, but also serve our customers. So I think this is a key portion of the business that we have to continue looking at and advancing technology to drive that sustainability effort future forward.
So obviously we need to strive to help create a circular product economy. We want to make sure that we're sustainable. And we look at three areas: human value, products, and operations from a Raymond Corporation perspective. And we recognize it's our responsibility to be a good steward of the environment and to contribute to a more sustainable planet. across our organization, we work to minimize our direct and indirect impact on the environment. This commitment is integral to our corporate culture and our business strategy overall.
And I think Jared, it's key to the industry, right? You look at the new recycling technologies that are coming online, right? With Li-Cycle, Redwood Technologies. There's these wonderful bespoke technologies that are getting a ton of investment and deployment and looking at increasing reclamation to where it can almost compete, right, with some of the lead capabilities that we stand today. But I 100% agree with you. I love the three kind of components there, right? Human value. How do our products impact our people as well as your people? How do we continue to build more sustainable products, do things that, right, aren't going to continue to cast an ecological shadow in a lot of different ways, right? And offset some of the bad that comes with all of the good. And then operations, right? How do we improve our operations from being more sustainable? How do we better offset, right, the carbon footprint and support the sustainability goals of our customer operations as well? Those three factors are something that, right, we should all really focus on as an industry. So in summary today, right, we've talked a lot about a bunch of different things, but make sure that you're out there fully evaluating all beneficial electrification incentive programs, right? Know what monies are available in your regional perspectives. Make sure that you're understanding, right, from an IRA perspective, what do you qualify for, and get us involved. We'd be more than happy to help you navigate some of those discussions and decisions as you continue to deploy forward. Work with a trusted total solutions provider, right? There's plenty of people that have individual products on the market today to be able to go out and sell, but look at someone that has a holistic viewpoint and that understands the full ecosystem and the dynamic of what you're trying to achieve within your operation. We talked about it earlier, right? There's no lack of technology, right? It becomes a healthy marriage of, new tech as well as that kind of economics component, if you will. So continue to evaluate new technologies to understand what options are available. The battery and the charger market, as well as fuel cells, are developing at a rapid pace. And I'm really keen to see what's going to be shared in a couple of weeks at ProMat as we all get there as well to learn about kind of where the focal point is future forward for many of us. And then take advantage of strong industry investments, right? Work with partners that are making the investment to live what they say that they are promoting, right? There's a lot of folks within the industry today that really are, sharing information, but they don't necessarily make the same investments to help drive those goals, right, at the operational level. So people that are making strong industry investments, that are looking at the dynamics and looking future forward, those are the people that you want to be partnered with to help understand what your total options are and how you can achieve those future forward dreams together.
So that concludes our presentation. We'd like to take some questions. If you'd like to go to your chat function and add questions, Damon and I will handle those as they come forward. We must have answered all the questions out there, Damon.
Yeah, wow.
Give just a few more. Damon, very nice job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jared. Appreciate your time today. All right. Well, it looks like we helped answer all of them. So with that, I'll let you close us out, Jared.
So for more information, you can reach out to Damon Hosmer, obviously. He's our product marketing manager for energy storage and integration. There's his email address there. And also you can reach out to me, Jared Hubbard, Director of Core Sales, and there's my information. And please visit us at ProMat and our booths, S1903 and S1703, and we can assist you even further. If you have questions that you didn't bring up now, feel free to ask those at ProMat. Thank you very much for today, and we hope you have a great day.
Thanks, Jared. Look forward to seeing everybody at ProMat. Everybody be well.